1st, 2022, and this happens to be our last Library Commission meeting of the year. So this meeting is streamed live at YouTube, and for public participation, it is requested that members of the public wishing to address the Library Commission submit a speaker card in person at the meeting. When public comment is open on an agenda item, individuals may speak once per agenda item. You must submit a physical speaker card to the clerk at the meeting. So can we call the meeting to order? And if I may request Michaela to lead us with a pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Michaela. All right, we're ready for the roll call.
Thank you. Commissioners: Pam Crosby. Here. Roberta Emerson.
Here.
John Hall.
Here.
Michaela Hurdle.
Here.
Wendy Kinsey. Sharon Murphy. Pranesh Raghu.
Here.
Cindy Sabatini.
Here.
Chairperson Sonia Ray.
Here. Thank you, Edith. So, do we have any agenda amendments?
We do not.
Okay, all right. And moving on to the meeting minutes for the last November 3rd, 2022 meeting. Are we approving? Are there any comments? Any corrections to the meeting minutes?
Staff has two corrections to the minutes. Staff has two corrections to the meeting minutes. In the section that refers to the Teen Poet Laureate Committee members, actually this is on the agenda report, I just caught myself. Do I mention that at this time, or do I mention it in the agenda report?
That should have been under agenda amendments.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have an agenda amendment.
Okay.
For the agenda report on the subcommittee selections, under the Teen Poet Laureate Subcommittee, we omitted two important library commissioners who participated on the Teen Poet Laureate Committee. Those are Wendy Kinsey and Cindy Sabatini.
Where is this?
It's the last page. Yes.
It's on item number 8.
That's it. Okay.
Just those two?
Just those two.
Thank you. And it's all clear, right?
We need a motion to approve the minutes.
No, motion to approve minutes, but agenda amendment that's pretty much it.
That's
Okay. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the November meeting as stated.
thank you. Thank you, Roberta. Thank you, Michaela. And since that is done,
All in favor? All in favor?
oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, sorry. Thank you, Edith. All right, so everybody's in favor. The meeting open to the public. Do we have any introductions, awards, recognitions, or presentations?
Staff does not have any this evening. Thank you.
And then, do we have any speaker cards? I don't see anybody here in public comment section. Speaker cards? None. And then moving right along, matters for the commission's review, action, information. Number 4 on the agenda is to receive information about updated commissioner's handbook.
Good evening. My name is Larissa Cito, and I'm one of your assistant city attorneys. Apparently, I've arrived here before your actual updated copy of the Commissioner's Handbook, so I apologize for that in advance, but apparently that is coming to you. I'm going to go ahead and start a screen share and hope that this works. classically, I haven't, from the beginning. So the Commissioner's Handbook is following up on what the City Council meeting rules and procedures. So in July of this year, the City Council, as one of its priorities, updated its meetings, rules, and procedures for City Council meetings. But they realized that a lot of the procedures that they have also apply to commissions such as the Library Commission and other city committees. So they asked staff to go ahead and make parallel modifications to your Commissioner's Handbook. So we went ahead and did that, and I wanted to highlight for you some of the ones that are most relevant for your operations. And as I said, you'll be getting an actual copy of that shortly, so you'll have a chance to review that. And if you have any questions, you can contact us. So one of the first things is that the council decided that they no longer wanted meetings to be run by Robert's Rules of Order. So we jokingly say in the city attorney's office, we have this old copy of Robert's Rules of Order, and rarely have we ever been asked to talk about how do you split a motion or how do you do some of the strange procedural things. So instead, the council said, no, we would rather have something a lot more current. And so the more current item is this, the 7 pages Rosenberg's Rule of Order. And this is actually promoted by the League of California Cities as appropriate for bodies such as ours or the city council, where you have, maybe 5 members, maybe 9 members, maybe 12 members, not a whole parliament of 120 members. So that's what now you're working with, the Rosenberg's Rules of Order. And attached to your staff report should be a cheat sheet, which is a little bit discussion about motions that mostly you're familiar with already. So if you, practically speaking, most commissions are working with general motions, substitute motions, amendments, and things that you're familiar with. The council did want to move to Rosenberg's Rules of Order rather than Robert's Rules of Order. So that's the first big change that happened with the Commissioner's Handbook, as well as the council meeting rules and procedures. The second issue is continuing an item. So when there's an item on your agenda, all the council members and all the commissioners can actually, as an individual, continue the item as long as it's not subject to a legal requirement to take action. So under the old rules, you could just continue it. Sometimes people would tell you why, gee, I got the packet really late, or gee, I don't really understand this, I need more time. Or sometimes people don't say anything. So now what the council has said is, if you as an individual member are continuing an item, you have to state the reason why. There's no litmus test that there's only approved reasons or unapproved reasons, but you have to state the reason. And so that's one of the changes that's going forward. So we've also made clear that after one commissioner continues an item that way, at the next meeting when it comes back, a new commissioner can't individually continue it that way also. So at that point, if the commission as a whole, a majority of the commission want to continue it, then you could take a vote to continue it. But a second time that it comes to you, an individual commissioner can't continue it. So that's a change in the rules because that wasn't clear in the last handbook. And then another new rule that's a change from your current procedures is who's voting and how do you count votes. So under the old rule, if you attended a meeting, you counted for the quorum, but if you remained silent, perhaps you didn't know this, but your vote counted as a yes vote, an affirmative vote. Or if you abstained and said you weren't going to vote, your vote and presence counted with the majority, whether that was a yes or a no. And so now the council wanted to make very clear they want to adopt the rule of called present and voting. So you have to be present and you actually have to vote. So you're just hanging around doesn't count as a yes or no. You actually have to say how you're voting. The only difference is if you actually have to recuse because you have a conflict of interest, then you're not voting, obviously, because you can't participate for that reason. So that's another change about the voting rules. And one of the reasons council wanted to do that policy-wise is they said now we as council have to represent our districts. And so they wanted to make clear how they were representing their districts by pretty much requiring or encouraging each person to vote. Though I should make clear in the Commissioner's Handbook and the council meeting rules, there's still no mandate that you vote, so you can still choose not to vote. But if you don't vote, then you're not counted on the roll that way. So that was a change. So now the new rule is you have to be present and voting. Then another change that the council made is when you receive the staff materials, the agenda packet, sometimes people read it early and have questions, and sometimes they email staff and they say, I have a question about this, I have a question about that. and then staff responds to them, and then they have that information when they come to the meeting, which can be really helpful. And it's also helpful for staff to know, maybe a lot of people have the same questions, and then we realize, wait, we need to clarify that for everybody. But one of the things council made clear is that when individual commissioners, or in their case, individual council members, send questions to staff, when staff respond with answers, in most cases, then those answers will be provided to everybody. So everyone typically needs the same information. And as I said before, sometimes if you get the same questions from two commissioners, you realize, wow, maybe we should have included that in the report, or that's information that everyone needs. And then because all the information is being provided to all of you as commissioners before the meeting, state law also requires that we provide it to the public. So much like your agenda packets are available online, or the council meetings are both available online and at the back of the meeting room, when questions come to staff and staff responds to everyone, that same information will be provided to the public both on the website and at the meeting. And so that way, both the public has the information and all the commissioners have the information. So that's also a change to the meeting procedures. Before, sometimes people would send it in, and if there still are individual issues, you could say to staff, I'd like this to remain confidential. There might be a reason. Sometimes we in the attorney's office, a conflict of interest question or something comes up where people want to stay, I said individualized in those cases. Typically we can, but as I said, if someone wants general information about something that's coming to you on your agenda, it's typically now staff will provide it to everyone. And then the idea is then that's provided to the public too. So that's another change to the meeting procedures. And then another point that council wanted to make, and a change to the procedures, is when the council members, or in this case you as commissioners, can ask questions and when you can start expressing your opinions on issues. So the idea is, for example, now if we were having a staff presentation and you had a question about something I was saying, you could ask a technical or clarifying question of staff. Or if we were having a public hearing and a member of the public or some project proponent was before you, you could ask them a technical or clarifying question. And what council wanted to make clear in a change in the procedures is that this isn't the time for you to start arguing the merits or providing your opinions or your policy issues. That comes later on after the public hearing is closed and during your deliberation process. So the idea is, when are you gathering information, and then when are you deliberating? And so that's a distinction council wanted to make, and that's now a change in the procedures. Another change that's taking place is what we call matters initiated. So this is when you as commissioners have ideas about things you think your commission should work on. And in the old handbook, the idea was you either had to write it up, submit it to staff, and staff had to review it and consider it, or you had to bring it to the commission orally and have a consideration. Now, the council wanted to make very clear, it's still now only the latter process, that you would come to the whole commission, present an idea, and it could be a new idea, it could be something you thought about a little bit, and then that's when you need a majority of the commissioners present to vote in favor, and then it could proceed. But I should say it could proceed potentially. So if you have a great idea, and I'll just say hypothetically, let's say your great idea is we should have 10 branch libraries. Well, as you can imagine, that might be something that would take a lot of resources or staff time or consultants. So you can't just say that's going to be our great idea. That might be something that would have to go to council first before we could spend a lot of resources on it. But those are the kinds of ways that you can have matters initiated. So no longer in the handbook, which is the written process you have to run through staff first. Now we're just focusing on the oral process when you bring it before your whole commission. Now, hopefully this is an issue that comes up very often with the Library Commission, but maybe it does. If your items are running really late, now the new rule is at 10:30, you have to decide and take a vote about what is left on the agenda that you're still going to talk about. See, so for the youth members of the commission, you probably think, well, we're up till 2 a.m. all the time, what's the big deal? But for the rest of us, it's not like that. And so that's just your information in case it were to ever come up. And then I just wanted to clarify, Rosenberg's Rules of Order, much like Robert's Rules of Order, provide that it is the chairperson who makes decisions about procedural issues. So we have a bonus early preview copy of the Commissioner's Handbook. So and later on in your agenda, I see you're picking a chairperson and a vice chairperson, and we'll make sure that whoever gets the seat, or whether it's a reappointment, can go ahead and start taking a look at that. And the Rosenberg's Rules of Order are clear that if for some reason the chairperson decides to creatively interpret a rule and the majority of the members of the commission disagree, there still is a process for the majority of the commission to override a procedural decision of the chairperson. So that remains in place in case people disagree with that going forward. So that's a basic overview, and as I said, I apologize you don't actually have the handbook to look at. We've tried to update the handbook with more information. Might not be as relevant to those of you who've been in the city for a long time or served in a lot of capacities, but there is some new information for people about how the city's been restructured in terms of the departments. And for new commissioners, we do clarify about the council being elected by districts and things like that. So that's the information about the handbook update. And after you receive it, if you have any questions, please go ahead and send it to staff or send it to our attorney's office and we can respond to you with information. Thank you.
Thank you, Larissa. I did want to clarify in your packet, there was a digital copy. So if you saw the digital, that is the same one we're reviewing. But
Thank
my
you for
apologies for not having a print
Yeah,
copy.
I was gonna ask you that. It's like 105 pages of attachment. I didn't want to print that, but okay.
Right, a lot of them are reference resolutions and ordinances. So if you aren't interested in seeing what the duties of the other commissions are, you don't have to look at those pages. Thank you.
Thank you, Larissa. Anybody has any follow-up questions and comments? Since we haven't read it, so.
Right, exactly. I'm sorry about that. As I said, when you receive it, if you have some questions, please just let us know and I can either come back or we can send a memo out or whatever we need for clarification. Thank you very much.
Sure, I appreciate it. Thank you. And then next on our agenda is to discuss the schedule of upcoming meetings and events of interest. If you see the attachment, it is part of your packet. Leah, would you like to go over this?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson Sonia Ray. I would like to begin by just introducing the month of December. Our meeting this week, we did have a little bit of a crunch to fit it in with Hometown Holidays. As you know, that's one of our biggest, most exciting events of the year here in the city of Pleasanton. We are hoping that the rain holds out and we're just, very wishfully thinking that we'll have a beautiful period from about 5 to 8 p.m. But we do have rain protocol on the website as well, and we'll be pushing on social and keeping, that phone line running. So please don't let it deter you. Come down, one and all, with everyone for one of our biggest events in the city and with Library and Recreation. And then following up, we've got a series of meetings on here we like to highlight. This event calendar is something we just brought back just this last month. And as you can see, really a full range of events. The December season is a little bit lighter, but some important core services like Lawyers in the Library continues on. Legal issues don't stop over the holidays, unfortunately, for community members. That was important to keep that going. The online book club continues. And then at the very bottom, almost as exciting, is a save the date for Cause to Read 20th anniversary celebration, if you can believe it. So please hold the date. We don't have an exact time, but we would love each of our commissioners to be there. Our library commission over the years and our friends of the library have been very supportive of the Cause to Read program. It's one of those programs like Bookleggers and like many of our longstanding programs that really have an impact in the lives of our youth in the community. So I think that's an overview. Any questions or clarifying questions on the events calendar for this next month?
I have a question, I'm assuming this is just for the month, so every commission meeting, there will be one, or?
Yes, that's correct, yes. We try and do about, the coming month or so, and then, have it sort of interspersed with meetings. If there's any other content on here, we've done some other things for other commissions like project lists and that sort of thing too. And anything else that would be of value, please, provide that feedback as well.
Thank you so much, Dave. Next, we have item number 6, and this is, we are going to review and approve the Library Commission meeting schedule for 2023. I believe out of the 12 months, we'll be meeting for 10 meetings. One is going to be the joint meeting with the Civic Arts Commission, and then the July 6th, we will not be meeting.
Yes, thank you, that is correct. So we will have 10 regular meetings throughout the year, one joint meeting, and then one canceled for the week of July. And that's a tough week with staff scheduling to get commission meetings scheduled. So we have July off, but we're going full force the rest of the year.
February 5th date is a Sunday.
Oh, thank you for sharing that.
What was that? February 5th date is a Sunday, so I think they need either the 2nd,
It would be the first Thursday of the month.
which would be the 2nd.
That would be the second. Thank you very much.
And I'm sorry, why are we not meeting in July?
So that was recommended to me by a couple other commission chairs and former chairs, that the July 4th holiday is a trickier commission meeting to prepare staff reports for. There's staff that are off that week. So finding presentations, and that was just the one holiday that was advised that we cancel. If there are items that are pressing though, we are always happy to, look at that. We want to support the commission needs. Likewise, if there are meetings where we find there are not agenda items or anything to report out, then we would cancel perhaps a different meeting. So while we vote on, it doesn't mean that it's not able to be changed.
And I thought that the joint meeting with Arts Commission was going to rotate 1 year on their day and 1 year on our day. Why is it always on their day?
I can speak with the Civic Arts Commission about that. Yeah, this was just something that the chairs decided on. Is a Monday, is that easier for your planning because you're used to going, is a Thursday easier because you're used to coming on Thursdays?
Right, it just seems like, why should we adjust I don't want you to be bad about it. It just seems like, why wouldn't it alternate years or
Right,
something
it
to be
seems
accommodating to everybody? Seems fair.
Sure. Yeah, I can definitely speak. I'm very close with the chair. We're about an office apart.
It also seems that we've historically done the Monday for that meeting because we meet over at Bush, and that's a bigger facility to hold us all, and they've already got that room reserved that night, whereas if you do it on a Thursday night, there may be a conflict. So that's one consideration.
Yeah.
As to probably why it continues to be.
I think that is, and thank you for the reminder. I think that is a consideration. I think we could find another venue though if we were very interested. That if a Thursday works better. I think you are correct in terms of Bush Road maybe not being available on the Thursday, but we can find another large venue. One of the challenges right now about using the library meeting room is we aren't hooked up with the speaker system to live cast, so we pretty much can do it here. And Bush Road, we have had some challenges, so when we go out there, we do have to have our tech team from the theater come set it up. They just did that for one of the Tri-Valley Joint Human Services Commission. They have to set up special speakers and everything. But it's all doable. We want to make it as, attended and easy for everyone.
I'm pretty sure I attended a large meeting in here with Parks and Rec.
Yes,
Or
one time it
early
was
on.
here.
So
Yeah, we did.
I'm not sure why.
Because both commissions are very large, so we're 9 and they're close to 9. So I don't think we could do 18. And Youth Commission also meets at Bush Road because they're a similar size to the 2 commissions we have combined. Yeah, big commissions. We're fortunate.
All right, so we need to approve our schedule with the change of the date for February.
Yes. Edith, do we need to, does the motion need to include the new date?
The new date
We had a
February
typo
5th
on the
is
February
Sunday.
5th
with the change,
with the
with the
change.
February date. Yeah, just before you do that, I should say that the Youth Commission is also looking to have a joint meeting with Civic Arts as well, so that may be a conflict.
Oh, for the grant process?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, so
good thinking.
that may
I'll
be
look
one of
into
the
that as well.
reasons, right, because they will have 2 joint meetings.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. I'd like to move that we adopt the 2023 meeting schedule as outlined and amended.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to number 7 on our agenda tonight is a review and comment on schedule of staff presentations for 2023.
Yes, thank you. So this particular item, staff wanted to share out a proposed calendar for the year for the staff presentations. One thing we've been doing recently in our department and in the library is we are highlighting our values this year. And we're doing that in our staff meetings, we're doing it, you saw it kind of kickstart with the library card contest. So the card really outlines and we feel like embraces our values, which are integrity, inclusiveness, innovation, collaboration, and customer service. And so for the year of 2023, each of our presentations are on topics that you may have seen before, and there may be some new topics for our new commissioners as well to experience. And each one really ties in with our departmental values. So I think when staff comes, they'll be bringing you some information about services that you know about, or really some fresh information too about how we weave in our values into our work every day. So I wanted to provide this list just for staff or for commissioner feedback and comments, and also to help our staff to present presentations that are of value to the commission. And these presentations are tools that you can take to the community as you re-embark on outreach. These would be excellent kickstarters each month. If it's a topic that includes digital services, I know Pranesh, you've expressed some interest in just helping our students know more about these really great resources that we have. So I'd love to hear your feedback a little bit on this, so insights if there's anything you're not seeing here, or some things you'd like to know more about. Love to hear from you. So Chairperson Ray, would you like to call on commissioners or to see if anyone has comments?
I think I'll start with Robert. How about some comments on, or what are your thoughts on the list of presentations?
I'm new, so it's a little hard for me to look at it in context, but I do like the list. I think I've studied it enough to know that there are things that I think are missing, but I think that there's some good things on here that would be helpful.
Thank you.
No, I like it. I think it's I like doing it the way it's organized. I like the way it's organized. Thank you.
I like it as well. I was thinking, is it flexible in the event that we have sort of a meaty topic that is going to take, so at some point in time, we're going to have to talk about the policy, the things that the policy committee is working on, and that might be a big topic that is pretty time consuming. So we have to bump something to another meeting, so there's going to be a flexibility component.
Oh, absolutely, and thank you for asking that. That probably would have been good to highlight in the report. All these are flexible, they're presentations. There may be some that have staff reports if we feel like there's statistical measures or meteor information that we think that would be helpful for you to see ahead of time. But I think the hope with most of the presentations is that they're not as lengthy, they're not actionable. They're going to really just inform you a little bit more about library services, but I do agree that something like the privacy policy, when that comes forward, is going to be much more in depth. So yes, and I think staff is very flexible. They also appreciate having a little bit of planning time to know, what they'll be presenting on, helping them throughout the year, to think about these things ahead of time as they do provide services, then they can kind of plug it into the presentation as well.
Thank you. That's good.
No, I agree. I'm actually very impressed. I think this is the first time we've actually gotten an outline like this that's forward-thinking, a year in advance, and it covers a lot of a wide range of topics. So I want to commend the staff for doing such a great job and taking the things that we've been interested in the past and bringing that forward into like a routine overview with new information. And yeah, I agree that, you know, we can keep it nimble, and I think that it does help your staff planning as far as, you know when your busy times of year are, and then it's adjustable. So I think that it looks really good, and we should be just fine with this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one question. The statistics for the library will, such as numbers, membership cards and so on, I assume that will be woven in here or added to-
Absolutely, yes. So that's, on October 5th, one of our senior librarians, Tim Johnston, is our statistics and performance measures guru. So he handles a very weighty state report every year. And this is a report that all public libraries provide to the state of California, to the state library. And it really helps guide a lot of our grants. It gives information on how many books per year we check out, how many staff we have, how many staff have degree programs, how many locations we have, what's the square foot of our building, what's our foot traffic and our door count. I'm glossing over the volume of statistics in this multi-page report. He loves doing this, and I think he likes analyzing the data and the trends. So I think when you come to that, make sure you come to that meeting. You'll get to hear a lot more about that deep dive. And then statistics, you'll come to learn, Commissioner Emerson, is that something that we provide in our quarterly reports and our annual reports too. So you'll be getting a quarterly report at the next meeting for the most recent quarter, and that'll have many of those statistics too.
Okay.
We like statistics in the library.
Yeah, I like statistics too. It's good to know.
It's good data, yeah.
Yeah, I just have another question. The nature of these presentations, would these be just, PowerPoint presentations, or would there be any sort of like demo? I know we had a couple in the past.
We probably could, yes. Let me look a little closer and see. Looking at the list, was there anything you'd like a demo on?
Not sure if most of these things would, like, for example, the digital services, right? If, we could just see it. I mean, we have the robotics come in and give us a demo with that, right? So I don't know how practical it would be with a lot of other things.
I bet
but-
we could figure something out. We've got some really cool research tools, and it might be fun to see them live.
Love to see that.
Okay. Good suggestion.
Thank you. And, because I was thinking about this bots and, dots and some, what was the name?
Dot and dash.
Dot and dash.
Dot and dash?
That's what was coming to my mind, yeah. Perfect.
Let me think if there's anything new like that. Dot and Dash, they have been coming out again. We've had some STEM programs and STEAM programs.
Or other things that, something we can, have the live demo of that.
Commissioner Cosby, how about?
I think it looks very, very good. I like how you tied your values in with it to show that the library lives their values every day in their programs and everything. I like that.
Yeah, it looks great. Something that just caught my eye was the January 5th presentation of Student Success Card. Is this a new program or a presentation that will be?
No, in fact, your question reminds us why we need to present this. So Student Success is not a new program, and I don't want to steal too much from the presenters, but as of this year is our year to finally get every single PUSD student in the district have their student ID card work as a library card. So that was a huge and wonderful lift on the part of our staff and the school district. Great partnership there that we've had. Not all cities and all school districts are on board with that program, and ours was, so we're pretty lucky. And I think we see the benefits of that. So, it's been going about almost 4 years.
Thank you. Any other last comments before we move on to the next?
Thank you so much, Leah, for putting this together. We're looking forward to all these presentations, and I remember bringing this up earlier and I think Cindy did too, that this kind of prepares us and tells us a lot about the library program, so when we're out there in the community, we're able to better represent, what the library has to offer, and, being on outreach committee, that helps too, so thank you. And next we have, we need to select the committee assignment for 2023. So here we have subcommittees, as you all know, we have a policy subcommittee, we have the outreach subcommittee, and then we also have the Teen Poet Laureate subcommittee. So in your packet, it's number 8, and we need, I guess, 2 representatives and one alternate commissioner in the policy, 2 commissioners and 1 alternate commissioner in outreach. And I'm not sure about this is where we are going to make that amendment, right?
Yes, that is correct, and I think on the last page it mentions 1
Oh, yes.
representative and 1 alternate for
Sorry
the
about that,
team
yes.
vote. Yeah, this time we did include who is currently on the subcommittees, so you are welcome to stay on the same subcommittee, jump to a different one. I really do encourage you to try different subcommittees, but there may be a subcommittee where you feel like you haven't quite finished the work that you started. So that is really up to you. So, Commissioner Ray, or Chairperson Ray, if you want to lead that discussion.
Sure.
I think Commissioner Sabatini had a question.
Well, before we had 3 on the policy and we're dropping to 2, is that correct?
2 and an alternate.
Well, before we had 3 in an alternate, so I just wondered why we're changing.
Yes, so I think the intention was always 2 and an alternate, and what it is I was looking back over last minute, and I think we ended up taking on more commissioners than we originally, because some were already on the committee, because we had the committee assignments kind of mid-year. Ideally, these should be done at the end of the year in December, or, kind of latest in January. So I think that was where we landed with more than we originally intended. The idea is we don't want a quorum, so a subcommittee, we do want to stay, with an 8 regular member commission, a quorum is, is 5, if I'm counting correctly. So then, we could go up to 4 or 3 in an alternate.
No, there's the Brown Act, is that?
Yeah, so that's why we can't have a quorum. Yeah. I'm not certain,
Okay.
Again, I apologize, I'm second meeting and I'm trying to catch up.
I want to believe or remember that Heidi Murphy did check with the city clerk's office or the city attorney's office and got clarification on
Yes.
that, and then
Okay,
came back as it's 2 members and an alternate.
yeah, okay. So let's stick with that, and if we find there's not enough spots, then, I can always go back and do a little research and see.
So I think we can start with the policy subcommittee.
Great.
And current members are, Commissioner Cindy, Commissioner Hall, Commissioner Crosby, and Commissioner Riddle as the alternate.
Might I make a suggestion? Maybe we kind of go down the line and ask what the preferences of each person, because
Okay.
maybe,
Just do that?
and especially for some of our newer members, like Roberta, who may not have been on a committee already, maybe she has a preference that, would help dictate the conversation a little bit.
Actually, why don't I ask the question to all the commissioners first? That are we all clear on our responsibilities and what each committee, subcommittee does before we sign up on this?
It's a good question.
Do you want to summarize?
It's right here.
If I can actually summarize it, just, that way we can, and you can ask clarifying questions.
Sure.
So, the policy subcommittee, as stated, is charged with reviewing library policies for updates, for modifications, additions, and sometimes eliminations. The main focus of the review is we really want library policies to support our mission, our vision, and our values. And really, we're also looking at the diversity, equity, and inclusion of our policies. policies. So we have a diversity, equity, inclusion staff team that additionally looks at policies. And we find that there's so much value to library commissioners reviewing our policies. It's really a window to the community. And as I've just met with the policy subcommittee one time, I'm hearing from the subcommittee really good insights into, well, I would want to know this in a policy, or this would be something that, I think you could provide more guidance on. So really that detail work is what we need for the policy subcommittee. If you like policies, if you like helping make things clear and good, strong technical writing, I think this is the policy, or this is the subcommittee for you. The outreach subcommittee is very much what it sounds to be. So they're charged with developing ideas for connecting with the community, with our diverse communities, and with expanding service and reach throughout Pleasanton. So the previous members really did a good job getting started, but we're just coming out of COVID. So a lot of staff outreach was on pause. Obviously commission outreach was on pause. We're kind of back in a little upswing with some of the viruses and everything, but our hope is to get back out into the community, in with these organizations. And if you have ties with organizations, interest in making connections with new organizations, connecting with new community members, if that's you, then this is the committee that I think you would enjoy. Teen Poet Laureate Subcommittee, we have a Teen Poet Laureate, and this is a wonderful joint merger of civic arts and library, which I personally love because I oversee both areas in this city. So, and they're my two favorite commissions. So they get to come together just once a year. But this committee works to help establish how we, our rules for the Teen Poet Laureate, I won't say contest, but for the interview process, for the recruitment, and then also has the fortune of sitting on the interview panel. And I think I've always heard this is one of the most rewarding experiences to meet teen poets, hear their poetry, meet these bright stars in our communities. So if you're interested in youth and teens and poetry, this is the committee for you. So with that in mind, hopefully it helps you make your selection.
Thank you so much. That's just perfect. And I like your idea too, Michaela. I think we can start doing it also. Why don't we start with youth Ganesh?
I'd love to try something new and join
Sure.
policy committee.
Which one?
Policies.
Policy committee, okay.
Great.
I've been on the policy committee, and I think that we've got a lot on the plate this year, and I would love to just continue on with that.
Right.
Well, that's interesting.
Because that's what you want.
Yeah, I would admit that policy is probably the most interesting to me of all of them. My background historically is in communications and marketing and communications, so I have years as a copywriter and years as someone who's required to make things clear in public relations efforts. So I have it's kind of my skill set. You might also see that as being an outreach, but I'm not extremely social, so that tends to appeal to me less from that standpoint. At this point, because I'm so new, it may make sense for me to be an alternate someplace, but that's my input.
Thank you.
I do enjoy being on the policy subcommittee. I spent many years in operations, and working on procedures, which is what I think, I feel like my wheelhouse a little bit, and I'm not someone that quite so extroverted for outreach. And I also just want to put out there that Wendy asked me to mention that she would love to be on outreach. So,
Great, Bernie.
I've been on policy, but I could do outreach as well, because I have a similar skill set to our new commissioner. And was the city's public information officer for many years, so. Put me where you will.
Oh.
been pretty easy. No, I'm not particularly interested in Teen Poet Laureate. I think it's a great program, but that would be my least of the three. So I would like outreach for policy if possible.
And to clarify, we don't have enough spots for everyone.
I know, and if you can't,
So we don't need to
fit
be.
me, that's fine
Yeah.
too. That's good too.
Thank you.
Does anybody know what Sharon's preference would be, since she's not present tonight?
I feel like she might like to stay on outreach just because of her role with the Friends. But I'd hate to speak for her.
I can check that.
You want to check? Okay.
This is a little ironic, because I've been on this commission for 7+ years now, and it's always been like tooth and nail to get people to be on policies. So we've got it swing so far that we've got all these policy wonks, it just warms my heart. So the irony is, I've served on all of them. I'm comfortable on all of them. If I had my druthers, I'd absolutely pick policy also. But I'm also cognizant of my bandwidth, and so what I will say is, I'm willing to serve on Teen Poet Laureate, in absence of others wanting to do so, at the moment. I'm also fine with standing aside and not being on a committee, until the need arises. I can go either way. So for now, we can slot me for Teen Poet Laureate, and then if that needs to change midway, as we get closer to that time period, we can address that.
All right, last but not the least, I guess I'm also left with the Teen Poet Laureate choice. No, right now, outreach, we have 2 and 1, so we do have 4 people on policy, so we need to make some decisions there.
Well, I don't think I need to be on. I'm new, so I can wait.
And I'm fine, like I said, this is my second year on it, and I'm an alternate on the commission, so if Roberta would like to have a chance to do it, I'm fine with that as well.
I'm okay either way.
Oh my gosh, no, don't do that. I just complimented all of you. Yeah, that's the sweet of all of you, but,
I do believe I read in the commissioner's handbook that the chairperson appoints the committee members. Is that correct? Yeah.
But I happen to have a copy.
Put everybody's name in a hat.
We'll do a little investigation with the new handbook.
I guess what I would say about policy is it doesn't make sense for everyone to be new on policy. I would see that there's really value in continuance from, if Cindy's already been on policy, or Pam's already been on policy, that there should be continuance. At least one of the people should be continuing, if not the people who are already there. So I don't have any vested interest in having to be on it.
Can we have an additional alternate?
Yes, and I feel like I'd like to go back and explore the number of commissioners for each. I think it could possibly be 3, but I don't want to speak without looking into it. So I think,
It was,
is it possible to, oh,
it was 2.
it was 2,
Yeah.
okay, so we're confirmed.
Yeah, I agree with Michaela.
Okay.
When Heidi did the research on it and came back and said.
And it came back as 2.
2 and
Okay, then
2
we
and
need
an
to stick with
alternate,
2,
yes.
yeah. I was pulling this off another report, and so that's probably where that came from.
but I heard Roberta's sentiments as well, I think, and the continuity in the policy discussions that have been going so far. If we find out it's 3, then we can continue with all the members. If not, then Pradesh and
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, at some point, of course, that it doesn't have.
Yeah, I think it's 2 and an alternate, and then can we have more than 1 alternate either? Because what I'm envisioning is for outreach, I think that outreach serves different purposes. and it can be very contextual. So let's say outreach comes together to plan something at a farmer's market, like a specific event, or outreach is around library card sign-up month. And then, alternates roll in, to a subcommittee meeting for that versus, and then, we're still not at a quorum if it's just two. So then two alternates may pop into different subcommittee functions. As long as we're not in violation of it's no longer the Brown Act, the Rosenberg Rules of Order. I think it's a shame that there's so much interest. I want to harness in our subcommittees. It's very exciting.
I think we could probably make a tentative plan this evening, and then you can go back and do some rules checking and so forth, and then we can
Absolutely.
Reaffirm it in the January meeting.
Yes, I would be happy to do that.
All right, so we have so far, for the outreach, we have Wendy and Joanne. And Sharon.
And we have Sharon, the alternate.
We can check with her, and since we are reconfirming in January, we can, at least we'll know by then.
Who's the alternate on policy?
She was. Sorry.
I don't think that was decided.
No, it was not decided.
Who picks?
I can be able to.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
all right, then,
Although I would say, just from a continuity standpoint, because that was sort of my pitch, is I would leave one of the ongoing as on the committee, put Ganesh, because he's new on the committee, and have one of the ones who's been there before as the alternate, just because then you're setting it up for future evolution. So that would be my that.
That works for me.
that works for you? So, Pam and Cindy.
I'm fine either way.
So we have, for policy, we have Pranesh and Pam as the two representatives, commissioners, and the alternate commissioner for policy would be Cindy.
Okay, thank you.
And for the outreach, we have Sharon, should we just confirm this in
Commissioners Kinsey and Hall,
Hall?
and
Murphy.
Murphy is the alternate.
Murphy, yes.
Yeah.
And then for Team Poet Laureate, we have Michaela, and we are only two, so we need an alternate.
And I think it's one with one alternate.
Oh, it is?
Oh, it's one.
Oh, it
one-
is.
Okay, I need to.
That stinker.
All right.
I'm good.
Okay.
And I did find the section of the new commissioner handbook that mentions it's under appointment of officers. It indicates the chairperson shall, 1, preside at all meetings, 2, appoint commissioners as needed to serve on subcommittees and ad hoc committees, and 3, call special meetings. So,
All done. Yeah, did we miss out on anything, or for the subcommittees, I think we're good.
no, thank you very
Only
much.
thing missing
Does it need
is,
to be approved by a vote?
Yes.
does, okay. So.
Doesn't always need to be me.
No, I'm just getting my names out here, but okay.
I have them all listed.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I thought I was gonna go in detail, pass the motion for the policy subcommittee.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
And then we need a motion for, all together, all the committees together, or we need to do separately?
No, they're all together.
All together.
Yeah.
Done. And the next on the agenda is the selection of chair and vice chair for 2023.
Can I ask a question? When did appointments come on in mid-year? I mean, wasn't it just a few months ago that you
That-
became the chair?
The year went by very quickly. It was in December.
Well, I must have missed several meetings, but it doesn't seem
We
like-
did it in January, actually.
Don't you remember that's when we had to vote twice because we messed up?
Yeah. So that was in
So was
January,
it
yeah.
December and January?
Yeah.
Was it in January?
Yeah.
I think we didn't have a meeting till April, was that the year last year? Gosh, we
It
lost
was, it was pretty early.
Yeah, okay.
It's time.
That's time, exactly. I don't know where the time went, but yes.
And can the chairperson, be the chairperson again?
What are the rules?
Yes, they can serve no more than 2 consecutive terms as chairperson.
Are all members eligible?
Thank you, these are excellent questions. All members are eligible for chairperson. Including the alternate? No, excluding the
Not
alternate.
And if I can read from here, the commissioners may nominate themselves or others for the positions of chairperson or vice chairperson, and the selection will be made by majority vote of the commission. And we already addressed that all voting commissioners are eligible. So alternate them not.
Yes, thank you, I missed that, it is all voting.
So we could nominate the existing chair and the existing vice chair to continue for another year?
Yes, you can make our nominations individual, yes.
Yeah, they should be individual.
Okay, I would nominate Sonia for another year if she was interested, and Cindy for another year as vice. If she's interested. Second? Oh, you need a second for that? I didn't. Anyone else was
I think
throwing
so, that is a, well,
We're still nominating.
Oh, we're still
There was-
nominating. Okay,
are there
it? Any other nominations?
any other nominations for the chair?
speak now. Let me ask you one question. Hopefully this is not out of order. Sonia, are you comfortable with your travel schedule that you'll be able to serve as the full chairperson? Yeah. Perfect.
Yes. So we move to.
Motion. We need a motion.
Now we
Motion
have
for
two
Sonia to be
nominations now, and they've agreed, so now we need a motion to accept them.
So together? So I'm.
That can be done together.
All right, I'll make a motion to appoint Sonia Rai as chairperson and, reappoint Cindy Sabatini as vice chair.
Yeah, second.
Thank you.
You're gonna vote on that now.
Okay,
And I don't want to be.
all in favor?
Messed it up last year.
Are we sure about the voting this time?
No, I'm not sure,
Well, yeah.
because we
Mayor
have
can
2
vote.
absences, so our
Yes.
alternate would vote, correct,
Yes.
Edith?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
We have 2 absences this evening, so our alternate would vote.
Yes, yes.
Okay, last year I voted and I shouldn't have voted. Yeah, I.
No,
Last year, I think we had everybody.
But anytime
Online.
there's a commissioner, a regular commissioner not attending,
Okay,
you are voting.
okay.
Sorry about all done, next. Congratulations, Vice Chair. And last but not the least, we have commission reports. So first and foremost, we will hear from the policy subcommittee.
So I've got the notes here. Joanne and Leah and I met, was it last week? Well, it's all blending together so fast. And we kind of reviewed the policies that were out there. There's several that have already been approved in the last couple of years, and that's the public access to the internet. The commission approved that, the materials recovery policy, the collections development policy, and the animals in the library addendum. So we kind of went through everything else and tried to prioritize what we wanted to focus on for this year. The first one is going to be the privacy policy, and that's a rather large one. It's going to be ongoing for a while. It's outdated by 1999. And obviously the privacy and how we deal with the information that the library has on members and everything really needs to be reviewed and looked at, and then the legal team is going to drive a lot of that. So that's going to take a couple of months, and we're going to do that. It's going to be ongoing to 2023. And then we came up with 3 other priorities that we want to focus on. The first one is the donations policy. It hasn't been updated since 2004. And we want to add some guidance on how the library receives financial donations and how things are used and all those types of things. The second priority would be the exhibit space, which is outdated as of 2010. To add guidance on how the community can request and reserve the space in the library. And some of this may cross over with the city hall space, exhibit space as well, and kind of come up with a policy that works for all. And have a guideline on how that works, and people can use the places to exhibit and how that they would approach getting the space, what the library plans for their programs and things to advertise. And then the third priority would be the bulletin board policy, which is the wall there on the inside of the library where all the flyers and everything are at. And we talked a lot about different parameters and things, having different languages, maybe having a virtual bulletin board that they could log in and see without paper all over the old-fashioned way. Make it a little bit more into the century. And then later on in the year, we want to talk about the volunteer policy, which was originally done in 2001. It's a bigger scale project that we're going to kind of work in conjunction with some of the other departments, so that all the volunteer policies are consistent across the different areas of the parks and library and everything. That's all I have today.
Thank you so much. A lot of interesting stuff.
And then I can share for sorry, I have it on my phone.
Sure, thank you.
So our first order of action that we discussed was promoting library programs, materials, and resources. And one idea of how to tackle this was get every library commissioner connected to the library recreation social media. Currently, it's just the aquatics that we have, but in theory, as we expand social media, promoting whether it be on like stories or posts on the social media platforms that you have, as commission members, in theory, we would help spread the message of all the programs and activities that we have as the library. And then hopefully we have each commissioner share at least one post once a month regarding the library and activities that we have. Next, identifying opportunities for increasing library partnerships. Some ideas that we had included scheduling an outreach event at the farmers market, as we have a lot of foot traffic that attends the farmers market every Saturday. It'd be a great opportunity to inform the community about what's going on in the library and activities that we have. And then have each commissioner find out if their organization would like a presentation on the library or like to present, or have the library present to their organization about how we can best support them or if our needs can suit theirs.
Thank you so much. Any questions for any follow-up questions to the outreach or the policy committee updates?
Not so much any questions, but just a comment and thank you for the great work. I'm, again, month 2, back with the Library Commission, but I'm just really impressed with the work that you all have done, the goals that you laid out. I think a lot of what we heard tonight from both subcommittees were some things that came out of the goals that you set for 2022. And what's impressive is you set those goals like partway through 2022. So this is just sort of a truncated year. So I think a lot of those may be continued. I think at the next meeting, we'll revisit goals for 2023, probably guided by what you've done and what you hope to do. So thank you for the outstanding work. It's incredible help to our community, each piece of it. Thank you.
matters initiated by the commission. Questions? Like to bring up, discuss anything?
It's been a slow month.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is traditionally the part of the agenda where folks will sometimes share out like a conference, or maybe we've even heard on a library that commissioners have visited while traveling. So I know it's sort of on the spot, you don't have to do it this month, but we'll probably clarify the language on the agenda for that. So if there is something that you attend or a meeting, please feel free to share out. I think that adds to the richness of the meeting. Thank you.
And now let's discuss what we are going to be taking up next year, so the future agenda items.
Well, as Leah said, we're
Leah,
gonna talk about the goals, right?
Yeah, staff would like to bring the goals topic forward. We'll have a staff report for that, and then it'll be a little bit more of a workshop style, as I understand, where you discuss the goals and then vote on them at the end. So that'll be coming for January. And then we also found out this evening from Larissa's presentation, if there is a future agenda item, then you can suggest and vote on it. So if you do have something, this is a good time, or you can bring it up in January for the February meeting.
Yeah, I would like to just confirm that the goals you just mentioned, it is for the commission as well as the library. I wasn't too clear.
Oh, that's a good question. Those are commission-specific goals.
Okay.
So I don't have them right in front of me, but I think, Pranesh, I think in the email that you were reading from, it had two of the goals were related to outreach and one was related to policy. But the policy goal was one goal, but very overarching. It was actually pretty bold. It was like to review all library policies in 1 year, which I appreciate.
That's why we prioritize them.
Yes, so we did a little priority setting. We
The
may
privacy
accomplish a
ones.
few this year.
Yeah, but I think Pam already mentioned about 4 of them,
Mhm.
so we discuss those and put them in the goals as a continuing process. And what other agenda items can be included?
I'd like to have it agendized to reaffirm our subcommittee membership once you have an opportunity to check rules of numbers and so forth.
And make sure Sharon wants to do.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it's
That we signed her
an
to.
official chance to check in with
Yeah, I
members
think
of
if
the
that's a staff report on that information, we don't need it, a vote. Is that correct? You just, okay. Yes, we can definitely do it.
Well, looks like in addition to that, the staff will be presenting on the student success program. So that sounds like a pretty good agenda.
So I have a question about that, since we have already laid out and approved the presentations for the entire year, do we still need to go through the process when we're setting up the agenda?
No.
That will be automatically included in the agenda base.
Well, that one item each month would be, but we as commissioners always have an opportunity to bring forth new additional items for the agenda.
No,
So,
that definitely,
Yeah.
for sure. I was just mentioning about the presentations that we need to.
no, it looks like those are set based off of us already approving that motion.
Yeah. I think I hear what you're asking. So yes, it would show up. I did not put it as a future agenda item because the commission had not reviewed it.
Okay.
So I didn't want to make an assumption. But we would start to plug those in each month.
So the goals that we'd be going over, that you would be presenting on, would be library goals, from which the library commission goals would sort of fall.
Actually, there are commission-specific goals, which is nice. The library does have goals through what we call an implementation action plan. It's the actionable items from our strategic plan, and we will be presenting that. Those are really more staff-specific. Some of them bridge to commission, and commission have actually helped bring them forward. Things like when the library went fines-free, that was definitely a commission initiative, or the commission initiated that and helped us tremendously with that. The library roofing project, since you're new to the commission, was a commission recommendation to council as a 2-year priority. So it's a long overdue roofing project, but the commission helped bring that to fruition. So we are very, very thankful to you for your support. The roofing and lighting project. The lighting project has not been approved fully by council in the funding of it, but it is an approved project. I know, it's a little confusing.
What I was curious about is at what point would we be then looking, would we as a commission be looking at the library goals? Just to kind of refresher on where you are.
Yes, so that is a good question. You will be presented with the library goals. One moment, let me check our presentation calendar. That is an excellent question. We do have a library budget overview. And that is, we could actually, it might be nice to tie that in with our strategic plan updates. Let me look at bringing that forward June 1st. Because those cascade into each other. So.
Yeah, it would be good to know, to refamiliarize
Absolutely.
ourselves with what the goals are, certainly before we get to the budget review, but at some point earlier in the.
Yes, there's not, the strategic plan goals don't have a financial obligation, but it's a project and task list in a sense that does, so the library budget does not reflect a lot of the things that are in the strategic plan budget. Like in the library budget, you would not see the roofing project. It's a capital project with the city. So it's a little confusing, but I think once we have the presentation, it does shed good light on it.
The strategic review is at what point?
So I just added it on to June 7th. Because I believe that you, Tao, and I will be doing the library budget overview, and I think we're probably the best people to do the strategic plan update.
As of now, we have the goals as the future agenda item, then we have the subcommittee reconfirmation, and then the staff presentation.
And we will be bringing the quarterly report statistics to the next meeting as well, so staff will bring that forward.
Do we need to approve the future agenda item? No. All right, then this is it. Anything else?
We need a motion to adjourn.
Yes, I move to adjourn the library commission meeting.
I second.
Sunday, of course, 2022. All right, we're done. Thank you, everybody.
Everybody have a wonderful holiday season.